Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of One Shot Sunday. I am joined today, well, sort of joined. Well, I'm here. I'm the disembodied voice in the sky. Hi, I'm your channel runner, Colin, at Colonomicon, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be replaying a game that we played on the very first episode of One Shot Sunday months ago, 15 episodes ago. A game called Quietus, which has become one of my absolute favorite games, bar none. It is bleak, it is sad, it is dark, and it is brilliant. And the man behind that brilliance is sitting right at the top of your screen right now. The Sinister beard himself, Oli Jeffery. Oli is the founder of Sinister Beard Games that makes a host of wonderful things. If you'd like to know all about them, I'm dropping those links right there in the chat. Oli is creator of games such as Night Rain and Quietus, and also, by the way, I should mention, also a musician in his own right, which you are currently hearing in the background. The music I've been playing this entire time is by Oli. Oli, I'd like to thank you for being someone like me who enjoys ridiculously long titles for your music. But this track you've been hearing goes by the name of They Meet in a Desecrated Chapel on the Heath, and it will be accompanying us tonight. Also joining us tonight is returning to the channel our friend Marlo, down at the bottom left, Marlo Bogwich, who's joined us for a game of 10 Candles a few months back, and I'm very, very, very happy that she agreed to play this one. Marlo, the reigning Queen of Tears, able to cry on command. And you'll see, Gigi, you'll see. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And to the right, I always have a policy of having at least one person who's never been here before. And very, very, very pleased that that person tonight is our new friend Gigi, joining us down there at the bottom right corner. Gigi is newcomer to the server and someone who will, spoiler alert, be appearing on another show I GM in the near future that's not on my channel. And since there's only one, you should be able to figure that shit out pretty quick if you have any idea what I do. Okay. Now, normally this is the part of the show, in most other streams, where we will introduce ourselves and introduce our characters, but Quietus is not that kind of game, my friends. Quietus is the sort of game where we make these things up. As Bill O'Reilly once said, fuck it, we're going to do it live. We are going to make up the stuff as we go along. We have no idea who we're playing yet. We have no idea what the scenario is, but luckily, our friend Oli here made a brilliant little tool set that allows us to do all of those things in a very short time. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some characters, we're going to create a scenario, and then we're going to take a little break. We're going to pop out for 10 minutes to give Oli time to percolate and come up with some ideas for how to scare the living shit out of these two lovely people. And then we're going to come back, and you're going to watch all of the terror unfold. So with that in mind, the disembodied voice in the sky is going to go away now, and I'm going to hand it over to Oli to begin this very special edition of Quietus. And before I go, Oli, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I love your game. I am a champion of this game. I've been telling people about it for months. I had no idea what it was when I was asked to GM it on then Encounter Roleplay, now Weave the Tale, on Halloween last year. I was asked to run this game. I had absolutely no idea what it was. I opened the rulebook for the first time the afternoon that I ran it. And luckily, you made a lovely enough, elegant enough system that's all it took for me to figure it out. It's simple enough. It's easy enough to pick up that you can do that. And I picked it up, and the game I ran there with my friend Anna and Cadence, Magdalene Bloom, who's in chat right now, was, in my opinion, the best game I've ever GM'd. I was incredibly proud of that, and I really believe that much as I'd like to take credit for it, it's because you wrote a very compelling, very simple system that allows beautiful stories like that to just come out. You made really good, simple mechanics that serve a narrative and create the kind of deep, bleak, 2 a.m. dark stories that I love to tell. So thank you so much for doing that. And now, Oli, please make me shut up and take it away, my friend.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all those kind words. That's way too lovely. I hope I'm good now. Yeah, and thank you for having me on. Okay, so tonight we're going to be playing Quietus. Quietus is a forged in the dark game of melancholy horror. So we are going to be recreating stuff like The Babadook or The Strangers or The Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix version. And we are going to start off with character creation and scenario creation. So in Quietus, you've only got a few stats, all of which start at 0, so we don't need to worry about stats or any of that. We are going to start character creation by asking and answering a few questions together. Some of them you will answer as a pair. Some of them it will make sense for you to answer them individually about yourself. But hopefully they kind of flow into each other and you should see which is which as we're going through. So there's a few questions. The first is, getting straight in there, you're somewhere isolated. Where? Tell me about the place. And isolation can be, so you can think about like physical isolation, or for example, you could think of some sort of supernatural isolation, like a house that you're unable to leave. We've done one which was in the middle of a city, but it's whilst a riot was going on, so they weren't able to leave the house. So there's lots of different types of isolation.
I'm feeling like a remote bed and breakfast. I don't know why that sounds like something like in the middle of the woods, like very like maybe it's winter out. Which is I think we close to home because I'm in Texas right now.
Well, I'm glad you have power and are okay. Yeah. I was actually very much thinking along the same vein, something like a remote retreat kind of experience, and like that's why we're out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, are we thinking somewhere like Washington Woods, that kind of place? Getting kind of like Twin Peaksy wood vibes. Cool.
Also known as my backyard.
Okay, so we are playing in your backyard. My knowledge of Washington is entirely TV based, so if I make something up, a wizard did it. Okay, when you say you had a bed and breakfast, are we talking like in a little village somewhere, or are we talking sort of a real cabin in the woods kind of a place? What are you feeling?
I mean, I would think a little more cabin in the woodsy, something fairly remote in general. Maybe even if not woods, like that whole like beachy remoteness, like coastal remoteness.
Yeah, that could work pretty well.
Yeah.
I know huge chunks of the coast are like miles between houses.
Right. That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. So maybe there's like so you're in a little B&B, which is technically part of a coastal village, but the actual village itself is some distance off. Cool. Okay. Next question on the list is, why are you in such an isolated place?
I was supposed to be vacationing with my partner.
Okay, where does that suppose come from?
We are divorced. So.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, so you just took the vacation without the partner?
Yeah. I had already bought the tickets and everything. I tried to get friends to come with me. Nobody wanted to go. Our head was too busy. So I'm alone when I shouldn't have been.
Okay, and Gigi, what about you? What are you doing there?
I'm thinking more like purposefully isolated, like going somewhere to create or just a change of pace, a change of scenario where you can really just be alone. So maybe like playing off of what I said earlier, like taking it as like a writer's retreat or some sort of like artist getaway to just inspire and not be so focused on the real world.
Okay. So the next question, which kind of feeds naturally into itself then, is what's your relationship to each other? So do you know each other? Is it happenstance that you're at the same place? Is it double booked? Are you both meant to be separately meant to be here and you've turned up accidentally together?
That could be interesting.
Yeah. Maybe, or we just like tangentially know each other, like friend of a friend of a friend kind of knowing each other, rather than like we know of each other. There isn't like no interaction between us, but nothing that would have ever caused any sort of actual friendship or anything.
So Marlo, have you invited Gigi's character then?
What if I invited someone and they ended up backing out at the very last minute? And so they had invited you to come along too. So it'd be like, hey, we'll have like a little tiny girls trip. I know you don't really know her, but you know, hey, we'll go, we'll do, you know, or, you know, a little getaway, even if your character's not, yeah. But so then we can kind of go with that. I think, you know, then they backed out and we were both kind of like, I don't really know you, but I want to go on this trip. I need to get away. And I think it'll be good.
I like that a lot. I think that's great.
Okay, and Gigi, you wanted to go there to work on whatever project it is that you're working on, so you kind of took the chance, even though your friend cancelled.
Yeah, I figure I would think that even if my friend canceled, if they wanted to get the three of us together, this other person is probably okay and not going to be incredibly awful to be around.
Are you kind of glad that your friend cancelled then, because it gives you more chance to work on your job and turns it into less of a girls' weekend?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, great. Next question then for the both of you is, why does it pain you to be here? I think we've got some clues on that from Marlo's previous description, but why does it pain each of you to be here?
I came here for my honeymoon. It was supposed to be like a rekindling for us, but it ended up like we ended up having a big blowout that just was like, we're going through the divorce stuff now. So it's kind of like dealing with like, you know, the lawyers and the courts and the paperwork and all that stuff. So I decided to go anyway, not thinking about it, and then get there and be like, oh, this place is filled with happy memories. Uh-oh.
Awesome. That goes very much into thank you, I hate it territory. Gigi, how about you? Why does it pain you to be here?
I feel like now I need to go way harder because Marlo's just like went from 0 to like 800, and I'm like, my character's a little more chill about it. But you know, I think what would pain her about it, one, obviously not having her friend, but I think that would also be like a mixed blessing, more that this place also isn't changing anything. Like she's not actually doing any of the things she's here for, so it's only more frustration.
Was this kind of like a last minute or last ditch attempt at something? Are you coming up against some sort of deadline, or like are you already behind on a deadline, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, say she's got like an art show coming up and she doesn't have any work to actually show for this new work at this point.
Yeah. What is it you're working on?
Painting. I'm definitely seeing paintings.
Okay, cool. What sort of art?
And now we are tapping into my exact lack of knowledge on types of painting. So artists out there, I apologize in advance. I do embroidery. I don't actually paint. I would say something more like, oh gosh.
Because my initial thought was, if you're coming somewhere coastal, it could be sort of very kind of like decorative stuff. But then if you're behind on like a deadline for a show, then that's probably something more modern.
Yeah, maybe more of just like modern and I wouldn't say horror, but like very introspective takes on landscapes. So although it might have like a landscape in it, it's really not about the landscape.
Like takes
it's
on
more like the heavy emotional impact that like the sharp contrast of colors cause and things like that. I am now starting to see her as a little bit of a pretentious art person.
Awesome. Love a pretentious art person. Okay, so this next one goes out to each of you individually. There's a couple of questions, which is what is your name and what do you look like? And we can combine into that. What are your pronouns? How do you present, that sort of stuff?
Oh, I hate naming a character. That's like the worst thing.
I'm trying to think of what she would look like first, because then I can just, the name is so much easier once I have a visual aspect of a character.
I suspect your character also isn't necessarily going by their birth name. I think they probably have like an artist name.
So she uses she, her pronouns. Her name is Lizette. She goes by Liz. She has very short bobbed hair that's just, it's not angled at all. It's just a straight cut, very severe looking. And she has dark black hair, sort of an olive tint skin tone, and dark eyes. She has a kind of her hair doesn't help her because she's got this sort of like she has resting bitch face. Okay, we'll put it that way. But she's actually pretty kind. She just doesn't, always appear to be kind. She's very well put together. She has a job in the business world. I don't know, nondescript businesswoman. Yeah, I think that's who I've got in my head right now.
I'm getting a little bit of a vibe of that character from Clue. I think it's Miss Scarlet, the flames on either side of my face.
Yeah.
All right, so my character's name is Francine, she, her pronouns, but she goes by Frey. I imagine her kind of plain but severe, like all angles in her facial structure, very thin, very almost a little bit gaunt, long hair, but it's always either in a messy bun, holding some sort of pens or pencils or paintbrushes or whatever she might need to grab again in just a second, with like very, very tiny baby bangs. Dark eyes. She's on the petite side, so she's just kind of a small person altogether. And I think the severeness goes a little bit to her personality as well, although I think in her personality it's a little more unintentional. She's just not used to being around not like art scene people, and there's that image to uphold.
Excellent. What age are your characters? How old do we think Frey is?
Mid-20s.
Mid-20s, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say late 20s to early 30s, in that sort of like time frame where you're like, I don't really know what my life is anymore. Does that sound like I'm speaking to experiences? all the rest of it, not at all, but that maybe.
Did your quarter life crisis end after 30? Because I feel like mine continued.
I haven't even hit 30 yet. I'm at 29.
Oh, good luck.
So
you have more time. You have more time.
I feel like I'm going through it right now, so it hasn't ended yet.
I turned 40 this year and immediately bought an electrical guitar, so I'm doing the midlife crisis proper. Okay, so the next question is, something went wrong yesterday. What was it? And we've already mentioned the people that you're meant to be coming with but aren't here, so let's try and go for something else that went wrong yesterday.
Did we fly in or drive in, do you think?
I think you would have to drive at least a little while from where, because I think this place is quite out of the way. I don't think there's any airports near it.
What if we flew in, but it was one of those like comedy of errors type of things? Like we fly in, but the plane's late. And because the plane was late, our rental company gave away our car. And then it was just like, instead of being one big thing, it's the cavalcade of very tiny things that are all just going wrong.
So you've had to basically get to know each other during a fairly annoying journey to get here. So you've got to spend Are we here for the weekend? Are we here for a week? What do you think?
Long weekend, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
long
I'm not.
weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't imagine going to a place like that for like a whole week. But maybe, because I mean, you're trying to finish up projects, so maybe. I mean, either way.
I can't imagine setting up a girls' weekend for a long week, though.
Yeah.
Or for a
That'd be
full
bit
week.
long.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a weekend, but you've got to spend a weekend with essentially a stranger, and you've both kind of got off on the wrong foot with each other. So by the time we actually get to the cabin, to the kind of the beach cabin itself, we find you not necessarily that enamored of each other. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. So the next question, which I think we might have already covered, but oh, my mouse went the wrong way. How's it now? Still echoey? Yeah. Let me just unplug it a sec. How are we now? Okay. Give me just a second. I am just going to go grab myself another mic and see if that helps us at all.
The disembodied voice is back. Sadly, this is not right. We can't do a co-GM setup, I don't believe. But even though, like, my temptation is ridiculously high to do that, because I love this game so much. Marlo, Gigi, how you feeling about your scenario so far?
I like it so far. I like character building like this.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the great benefits of this whole system. It's completely organic character creation is awesome. And it gets real sad real fast, as you can see, if people are here for it. And clearly, you two are here for it.
Well, and now I'm worried since Marlo can cry on command. I'm like, I'm gonna have to turn up my acting game.
How is this one sounding?
Much better.
Much better.
Awesome. Great.
All right,
Okay.
hand it back over to you. Bye.
Sorry about that. Okay, so so we just got to the question. There should be someone here, but there isn't. And with both of you, we've actually kind of got that. But do you want to add in someone else that should be here and isn't? How about I mean, you normally get someone to like greet you at these kind of places.
Like the owner or like whoever manages the property or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. So maybe the owner is meant to be here and isn't when you get there. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
And here is our last question. And you can answer this either in character or you can answer it as yourself if you're feeling particularly brave. What are you most afraid of?
I think Frey would be most afraid of dying in obscurity.
I love that.
I think Liz is dealing with her fear of being alone. So, you know, she's just because she's dealing with it already with her partner and like this whole thing going on. And so like that's why she was so like, everybody needs to come to this thing with me because I don't want to be alone right now, like, you know, stuff like that. So I think the being alone is her biggest fear, and she's already struggling with it as we come into this.
Does that fear of being alone, is that because she's always been around other people, or is she afraid of and feel free to X card or anything at this point, is she afraid of like self-harm or something like that because of the situation that she's in?
No, I think her fear kind of comes from, it's sort of rooted in her relationship with her mother, So her mom had very bad relationships, and she watched these bad relationships and how, a number of men came in and out of her mother's life. She's never, but she watched her mother fight so hard to not be alone her whole life that fear kind of gripped her too. Like, my mother made all these terrible choices, and I promised myself I'm not going to make those choices. I'm going to do the things I need to do. And then she couldn't. Ultimately, things did implode. So.
Oof. That is some hard stuff. What was your mother's name? Don't necessarily need to answer now, but if you kind of drop it in chat before we go back.
I'm hit with the name Rose. I don't know why.
Okay.
I think that works.
Okay, cool. And Gigi, Frey's fear of dying in obscurity, is either of those likely to happen? Is because she's still quite young, or is she did she have some early success which has since faded, or is dying something that is imminent for her, perhaps? You're on mute.
Way to hit the wrong mute button on my computer. I think it's more around the early success that has faded. She probably found semi-stardom as a young teenager, and then has been trying to recapture that, and is hoping that this show feels more like her last chance to really still make a name for herself. And I definitely feel like she completely identifies herself by her accomplishments, but she also projects that onto other people. If you don't do things, there's no point to your existence. Why are you even there?
Ouch. It's that's good though. It's really good.
Ouch indeed. Okay, yeah, early success always goes super well for everyone. No one defines themselves by early success later on. It's fine. It's why we have such a thriving child star industry in Hollywood. It just works out great all the time. Okay, so thanks very much for doing some character and scenario generation there. We've got some extremely juicy and harsh stuff to work with. I think we're going to take about a 10-minute break now, whilst I come up with what we're going to come up against to make things even worse for you both. And then we will come back after the break and start play proper. Thanks, everyone.
Damn. I said damn. Damn, damn, damn. That... I knew they were going to do that. I knew it was going to get harsh and brutal. And that's why I asked them to do this. I cannot wait to see what Oli comes up with. Also, hi, everybody. I'm not in my usual environs right now. I am on a sort of mini vacation at the moment. I'm in Boston, visiting a friend who was lucky enough to just recently be vaccinated, so that's awesome. And taking a little time out from my usual hermited lifestyle. Being safe and everything, though. Really not going out much. But getting to see a little bit of it. Got to go out into nature yesterday and stand on top of a giant hill and see the beautiful Boston skyline from way up on high. Ate a bunch of soup dumplings last night. That's always good. And now I'm hanging around here, playing some guitar, relaxing, putting my feet up, and bracing for impact for what's about to happen here. Yeah, man. I'm very glad. I'm very, very glad that Oli agreed to do this. I'm very glad that Gigi and Marlo are here to play this game. These are some of the best damn players you'll find anywhere, and this game is just like nothing else you've ever seen. It is very, very special. It won a place in my heart the first time I ever played it. The first time I played it on stream, I still think about that game a lot, weirdly. I was really happy with it. But, of course, Cadence was in it. Magdalene Bloom there. And Anna, Nymeria 941 were both in it. And I was just, doing it live, making it up as I went along. And Oli's narrative tools in this game are very simple, very, very elegant. Things are resolved with just a couple simple rolls, and then it's just all about the narration. And it works. It works so well. I'd love to pick his brain on how he made this game, and I probably will, to be honest with you. It's just very simple mechanics. There's only a couple of stats. It all works very, very simple, and it creates a really, really compelling story. It's designed for single session play. I don't really think you could do more than that with it if you wanted to be honest. I don't think really doing anything more than that would work. But regardless, who cares? One session's all you need to have something really powerful, really compelling, as this game will undoubtedly show you. And they've set up, Gigi and Marlo have just set up some seriously heavy, bleak shit that I am very much looking forward to seeing how this pans out. Yeah, Cadence, it is collaborative storytelling at its best. The players, I mean, you make your own bed and then the GM makes you lay in it. Your own bed of nails in this case. It's beautiful collaborative storytelling. It's so simple, it's so elegant, and it accomplishes everything it sets out to accomplish. With serious panache. I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite games, and I've been geeking out about it for months. I want everybody to play it. It's so damn good. I'm also loving, by the way, my other thing, you know, I run games here. I was a lawyer once. That was weird. And I also am a musician myself, and I gotta say, Oli's work here, the music you're hearing in the background, I love it. I love dark atmospheric music. It's one of my great joys, and the track you've been hearing that's been looping in the background, I'm digging it, man. There's a few others I might use as we go on, as things get more heavy. There's a few different tracks that Oli has graciously offered to use, and I'll probably make use of them as time goes on. But for right now, right, Marlo? Right? The music is so dang good. Yeah, so right now, again, the track you're hearing is called They Meet in a Desecrated Chapel on the Heath. Oli does these under the name Luminous, and they're awesome. This album is kick-ass. There's a few other things on here I really dig. So, how are we feeling? Are we ready for this? Reminder: this is a heavy. If you couldn't tell, like, I try to make the background make it really fucking obvious that this is a bleak, dark, depressing horror game. As with all, I love horror games. It's become recently, like, only in the last, probably only in the last 6 months or so, have I found that horror gaming is one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite RPG setups. I love horror games. But with all horror games, you got to remember that safety tools are very important for the players. We are using them. We have lines and veils. We have X, N, and O cards. If you ever need a rundown on any of that stuff, if you're a player and if you're a GM or a player and you're watching this and you want to run your own horror games, please reach out to me on Twitter. I will put in the chat there. That's my Twitter. I'm happy to talk to anybody about it because I'm a big believer in this stuff. I believe in the efficacy of horror. I believe that there's a lot of great stuff that can come out of horror gaming. Great storytelling that can emerge from horror gaming, but you have to do it responsibly. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to not, like, I understand. Like, I've fallen into this trap. You can use gaming. You can use gaming as a form of self-harm. You can use horror gaming in a way that is abusive to yourself, to make yourself feel worse. And if you're doing that, I'm sorry to say you're not doing it right. Where we like to In gaming, we often like to say not to yuck somebody's yum and that whatever you enjoy is fine. I don't believe that in this instance. I think that there's a way to do this wrong, and there's a way to do it that's harmful, a way to do that hurts other people, and a way to do it that hurts yourself. So you need to be responsible, you need to be careful, you need to be thoughtful with how you do this. But if you practice things properly, if you use the proper safety tools, if you're open and trusting with each other, you can create beautiful works of art in horror gaming that I don't think you can do in high fantasy. It's got its own special thing, and it's worth doing. It's worth pursuing. It's worth trying to do, and I'd recommend everybody do it. If you feel like you can do it safely, give it a shot, and I think you'll find the beauty that emerges from these systems. And Quietus is just an absolutely prime example of it. Let's see, Marlo says, lots of emotion, lots of terror. You have to do the aftercare, yes, and give yourself time afterward to enjoy joyful things. I totally agree with that, Marlo. There's the upfront work you have to do. There's 3 different stages. There's the upfront work you have to do. You have to do your lines and veils. You have to discuss the things that you just don't want to explore in the game. You have to be open and honest with each other up front. You have to be trusting with each other. During the game, you have to check in with each other regularly. You have to really make sure everyone's okay as it goes on. Don't leave anybody out in the cold, and make sure that all along the way that everybody has enthusiastic consent for everything that's happening, and that everyone's fine, and that no one is. Sometimes it's awkward. You don't want to speak up, check in with each other, make sure everyone's okay in the background. And then afterward, there is the aftercare that comes with it. You need to come down, you need to debrief. And today, after this stream, I'm going to ask that Oli and the players do a little debrief on stream, just a little bit, and probably do some more afterward, but just talk it out, make sure everyone's all right. And that's very important. And then after you walk away from the table and you're not... if that doesn't take care of it, take care of yourself too. Go watch Will and Grace. Like, go have a milkshake, do something to decompress and get it out of your system. But if you follow all these proper protocols, you will love horror gaming, and you will see how brilliant it is. And with that, the disembodied, well, I'm not disembodied, I have a body this time. The bodied voice in the sky is going to go away now, and turn it back over to Oli, Gigi, and Marlo for the rest of this very, I'm sure to be bleak and deliciously sad game of Quietus. All right, I love you all, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.
Okay, welcome back. And mute myself. Okay, so thanks for joining us again. Okay, so we are now ready to go. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the rules of Quietus in terms of like the when to roll dice and stuff like that. I think Marlo and Gigi, you've read the rules, but I'll just go over them now for the people at home. And if you have any questions during, just feel free to ask. So both Liz and Frey have 3 stats. You have 2 stats which are just for your character, and 1 stat which you share between you. So the stats are, because this game wears its heart on its sleeve, hope, despair, and anxiety. They all start at 0, and they will raise throughout the game. So despair and anxiety are individual to your character. Hope is shared between you. You can both add to it. They start at 0, and hope and despair both go to 5. If you get to 5 on hope between the 2 of you, then anyone who is left alive gets away, and it's the closest that we get to a happy ending. It's kind of a win state, but as long as we tell a story which we find satisfying, then we win anyway. If either of your despair goes to 5, then your character is dead. They're taken out, and there's no sort of way around that. If it gets to 5, then the character is gone. Now, because of the way that dice rolls work, usually that won't mean that one of you goes a long way before the others. It usually works that they're sort of roughly equal the whole way through, just because of how stuff plays out and how the math has been arranged. So you've got hope and despair, those go to 5. You have anxiety. Anxiety starts at 0, which means that your characters are calm. You can voluntarily increase anxiety to get bonuses throughout. So you can increase anxiety to push yourself. That costs a varying amount of anxiety depending on where we are throughout the game. And that means that you get extra dice when you roll. If you can describe yourself pushing yourself, if you can describe yourself putting in that sort of extra bit of effort in the fiction. You can also help another person by increasing anxiety by 1. So that adds a dice roll to someone else's roll. The downside of that, other than the increase in anxiety, is that if something bad happens to them, it also happens to you. You can also do a thing which is called revealing a scar. Now, revealing a scar increases your anxiety by 2 because of the painful memories. And what we do when you do that is between us, we will narrate a kind of a painful flashback from your character's past, which in some way relates to the current situation. So trying to think of some past examples. So, for example, someone in a game that I was running once needed a weapon, and they thought there might be like a assault lamp to hand, and then we took it back to a flashback where they accidentally knocked over a coyote in the desert and had to then put it out of its misery with a like a small boulder that they found. So it's got to be something that is sad and relates to an element or sort of an ability or a side character perhaps that you're trying to bring into the current fiction. So that is where we get the kind of the melancholy side of the melancholy horror in this. Once you have introduced an item or a person via a scar, you can use them multiple times. And so if they're an item, you can get an extra dice until it doesn't make sense for that to work anymore. And you can also introduce side characters via scars, and they can potentially help you if they need to, and if they would in the fiction. Being a side character in Quietus is a very dangerous business. As soon as they roll to help you, they are quite likely to die, depending on the severity of the roll, basically. Rolls in this, whenever you need to roll to do something, so if you're trying to do something which is just trivially easy, you just do it. If you're trying to do something impossible, you can't, just don't do it. If it's anything in between, then we will roll. And when we... Colin just said, you do not want to be an NPC in this game. You really do not. You are the guy that turns up in their car, says what's going on, and they get shot in the back of the head. Where was I? I've kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry, what was I saying just before that came in?
We were talking about them being potentially able to die incredibly quickly, and it's not a good place to be. And then we're talking about
we can do, if it's something easy, we won't have to, if it's something like anyone can do, we wouldn't have to roll for it, etc.
Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, so there are 3 levels of tension in the game. So whenever you do a roll, it'll either be uneasy or tense or desperate. That is kind of like both the natural language description of what's happening, but also the consequences of a bad roll will be much worse as it goes up. Through uneasy to tense to desperate. The higher they are, the more likely they are to have a terrible consequence if something bad happens. Rolling, a 6 is a success, a 4 to 5 is a mitigated success, and a 1 to 3 is pretty much failure. What that means will vary depending on the situation at the time. And there was something else. Oh, yes, that's it. If your anxiety hits 10, That is your anxiety spiking. That is as far as you can go. Your character is officially panicking at that point. So you can only make desperate rolls at that point, both kind of in the fictions. You should kind of describe it desperately, but also you can only make mechanically desperate rolls, which means that things are likely to get bad for your character quicker. So that's the kind of the risk reward of having your anxiety spike. You can make bad decisions when you're freaking out, basically. Does anyone have any questions on rules before we go forward? No, cool. Okay, great. Let's start up. So, you roll up to a cliff edge in this beat-ass car that you've managed to rent, because the actual rental that you were meant to get just never turned up, or they gave it away to someone else because your plane was late. And you have had this piece of shit car, which has just about carried you the 100 miles or so from the nearest airport. And GPS dropped out quite a few miles back, but you've managed to get to the village. You found the village sign. It is called Whitville. And it's a little coastal village that you find yourselves at. But you can see the cabin itself is down on the beach, and you are very much not. You are at the top of some cliffs, and there doesn't appear to be any, like, the road has appeared to stop. You are literally at the end of the road right now. Who's driving?
I kind of think I would be, because I've been here before.
Yes. Okay. Cool. So, do you remember how to get down to the cabin from here?
I'm thinking that I think I remember, but maybe it's a little more difficult than I anticipated.
Or have things changed?
Could be.
Okay. Okie dokie. So are you getting out of the car?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how's the mood between you two currently? Gigi, what are your thoughts on not on Marlo? Sorry, that's the player. What are Frey's thoughts on Liz?
My thoughts on Marlo. No, we'll go into that in the debrief, okay? I think it would have been a tense car ride with all the extra stresses. Frey probably would have not spoken to her at all, except for the occasional, like, "Are you sure we're going the right way? You do know where we're going, right? Like, I would like to sleep in a bed tonight."
Is Frey kind of more using Liz as an Uber driver at this point?
For now, yeah, just from everything that's gone wrong.
Okay, cool. So Liz, I assume, gets out quite glad to be out of the car, and just even temporarily away from Frey, who did not once offer to drive. And you're looking out, you look down at the cabin where you spent your honeymoon. You're sure that the road used to go further than this, but it literally seems to have just kind of like, it just kind of crumbles away and gets overcovered by sand. It looks kind of a lot crappier than you remember it looking. You don't know if it's just got beaten over by the weather in the few years since you got married, or whether it's just you had rose-tinted glasses on, which you no longer have. What are you doing?
I get out of the car and start, as I do this, I start to slam the door because I'm frustrated, but then I realize I don't know this person. I should be a little kinder. So I start to do it, and then I like catch it and slowly shut it. And then like stand up, breathe in the air, the fresh air, and like move my shoulders kind of like, because the tension's just sitting there building. And as I look around and I look at that cabin and I double take. And then I think like there's this shot of this like quaint little cabin that was in my head, and it's got that rose tint to it as like a stylistic choice. It looks a little rose tinted, and the sun is shining on it as it's going down. It looks so beautiful. And then it does this juxtaposition to what I'm seeing, and like I'm imagining like the railing on the front is broken. The stairs look rickety. It looks like patchwork together. There's like a crack in the windows, and I like
Yeah, it looks like nothing has been spent on this since you last came here. You're not sure if anyone has even stayed here since you last went here. Like, you certainly didn't have any trouble booking when you booked this place.
I think Frey would follow out of the car just like a second or two after having done her like calming breaths in the car instead of out of it. And the first thing she would do is just immediately like pull her hair down, run her hands through it real quick, and then put it right back up in that really high ponytail. And then kind of do the same thing that Liz did, where it's like the double take, but for her, it's more of, this is what we drove everywhere for. Like, I was promised like a nice beach cabin. Like, is this is it? That's where we're. I mean, I knew the beaches were kind of ugly, but I mean, this was described very. I mean, the website showed a lot of very different things.
Also, knowing that she talked it up to people so they would come with her, so she wouldn't go alone. She's also feeling a little bit guilty, but rather than admit that, she stand up straight and say, "Yeah, it's great. It's rustic. That's the perfect place to spend a weekend away, get a little out of the city and then to the rustic thing."
Rustic and quaint. I think I can get a that might be what's necessary. That might be good. This might be okay. This very much is. And she just starts like kind of muttering to herself, and it's very obvious the only thing she's trying to do is talk herself into not driving instantly back to the airport to be like, peace, I'm done here.
It's at this moment, Gigi, that Frey remembers that Liz works in marketing. So she's kind of hearing her talk this up. You can kind of, there's a little bit where you're going to go, oh yeah, no, maybe I could, and you're like, hang on, this is sales talk.
This is what my agent says about that crappy gallery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is all very familiar to you. Okay, so it looks like the only way down to the beach is a kind of like a dirt trail. You could swear there used to be steps here, and it looks like maybe there once was, but that they've decayed a certain amount, and it's kind of like this crumbling cliffside walk to get down there. Are you heading down that way, or are you going to try and find a different way?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna head down that way. Very like gung-ho, like this is not a big deal.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. I think it's a big enough deal for us to go for our first roll, though, and I think we'll go with an uneasy roll to start with, because nothing overtly spooky has happened, but also we've got this crumbling cliffside walk. So you can't push yourself because it's an uneasy roll. You can only push on tense and desperate rolls. I suspect that Frey is not helping at this point, so you're going to start off with one dice unless you can bring anything else in that you want to. But I think one dice probably works here.
Yeah, okay. Oh, a 6.
A 6, cool. Okay, so you're like a mountain goat as you go down this thing. You are just kind of your frustration at the whole situation doesn't allow this to get the better of you. Like you've come here to have a damn good time, and you're going to have a damn good time without your partner and whatever Frey is saying, and you're not going to let this get the better of you. This is just another very trivial challenge in regards to everything else that you've faced recently. So yeah, you just kind of skip down this, and Frey, you're honestly kind of a little impressed. I mean, well, maybe are you? How does that make you feel?
I think she would be a little bit impressed, but in that way where it's like, oh, well, this must be your environment. I'm not used to this sort of thing. So it's like a condescending almost moment for her too.
Cool.
It's like, of course you can do it. You're not like me.
Yeah. Okay. Frey, are you heading down there as well?
Yes, she's definitely heading down. I think she's watching Liz do it first to try and see, how to do it, because this is not.
Yes. Yeah.
Not that person that would have gone hiking or anything.
Yeah. This was not what you signed up for. Your shoes do not suit this area. Okay. Roll me an uneasy roll as well.
That would be a 5.
There will be a 5. Okay, so you achieve a lesser version of what you want, or you can try again via a tense roll. So you start walking down, and you're trying your best to step in all exactly the same places as Liz stepped, but you can't quite remember. And also, you're carrying your bags down, and your footsteps on. You step on like a little too close to the edge. And a little part of the cliff path starts to crumble away. So do you want to take a lesser version of what you've got so far, or do you want to try and press on with a tense roll?
I think she would try and press on. So
Okay.
let's go for that tense roll.
Okay, so make me another roll. Does Liz attempt to help in any way? Or actually, you're kind of down the bottom already, aren't you? So I don't know if you could even. You can.
I'm also
you can
not
raise-
trying not. Oh, so go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, no, carry on.
I'm trying not to look at her because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like feeling guilty about having brought us here at all.
Yes. Okay. You can push yourself if you wish, Gigi. There's so it's a tense roll, so you would have to increase by. Hang on, I'm just got to check the rules of my own game. If you push yourself on a tense roll, you divide the bad Jim. Okay, if you push yourself on a tense roll, you separately roll a die and add that to your anxiety. So that's quite a big.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she'd go that far.
Okie dokie. So do you just want to roll with the 1 dice for them then?
That would be a 4.
That would be a 4. Okay,
That
so.
works. She's just trying to walk down a path.
I know, it's gone bad real quick. Okay, so you achieve a lesser version of what you were attempting, you suffer a consequence, and the GM takes a point of dread. I think the consequence is so the cliff side, the bit that you stood on, does give out to the left of you, and you stumble and you drop your bag over the side of the cliff, and that is the one that had your laptop and your phone in it, and you get to watch it go as almost in slow motion as you hear this, as it kind of whistles silently, and then just goes at the bottom of the cliff. And you're still you're most of the way down, but you're still kind of stuck. I also get a point of dread at that point, which is something that I can spend later on. Marlo, Liz is near the bottom, and she hears that scuttling from the top. Do you look round?
Yeah, definitely look around, and I think the first thing I would probably notice, because again, I'm not trying to avoid the eye contact.
Mhm.
I think is just I'd like look at the bag.
Yeah.
And think,
Okay,
oh, no
cool.
big deal. She dropped a bag.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you're trying to avoid the eye contact. You're looking out at the cabin itself, and the windows are a little dirty, a little fogged, almost even. They've got that kind of that very old-fashioned style of window where it's literally 2 sheets of glass with nothing in between them necessarily. So you get the fog up in between them, and it looks like there's someone in there and you see this for just a second, and it's not who you're expecting. What the owner of this place that was going to hand over the keys? What did they look like?
I think it's an elderly woman.
Okay, cool.
Gray hair, like in a bun. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay, cool. As in, that's what you're seeing for what the owner was going to be.
For the owner, yeah. For the
Okay,
owner.
cool. It is not that. So it's not what you were expecting. So you look in and you can see this guy, looks like you think it's probably a guy, thin guy in a suit, ponytail, and he's looking at something on the wall, like looking very intently at this wall, which appears to be entirely blank. And you weren't expecting that, so that's kind of like, what the hell is that? And you just see that for a split second before there's this crash of the bag coming down, and your head snaps around, and you see Frey up on the cliff. And then when you look back, he's gone. And Frey, what are you saying as she's looking away all of a sudden? Like, she looks up at you and then immediately looks back, which isn't kind of what you needed right now.
Great. Yeah, this is just the best day. I love everything that's happened today. I absolutely am so excited to be here. I should not have just stayed home and painted in my apartment. So yeah, awesome. Also, Liz, thanks so much for your help here. Totally just lost like $3,000 in equipment, but oh no, who cares about me? What? She's probably just devolved into this like poor pity me complete like tantrum moment of just like seeing her laptop and her phone, like the connections that she can have to the outside world in this place. And then it just is, she probably would have overreacted no matter what, but the amplification of the bad car and the extra long trip and everything else, just like teenage kid style tantrum.
And I think you're still far enough up the cliff that whilst you're kind of pouring your heart out and having this moment, it's windy enough that down on the beach, Liz can just kind of hear $3,000. Liz, what are you doing?
What? I'm sorry, what? I thought I saw... You know what? Long trip. Oh, your bag. I go over, kind of jauntily, jump over to her bag, on the sand, just, trying to be chipper and pick it up.
It really rattles. You know that kind of like that sound that you don't want to hear from some tech where you kind of, you shake it and it goes...
I don't think it made it.
Can I hear her? Because I know she was struggling to hear me. Can I hear her?
Do you want to?
That's a very complicated and rude question. No, I don't want to. No, I'm just curious with the way the wind and everything is.
Yes,
if her voice would travel up versus my voice traveling down.
I think that makes sense, because if she can't hear you because of the wind, it would make sense for the voice to carry her wind. So you can hear her.
All right. So yeah, I would probably, the grumbling would just continue, but it'd probably be a little bit quieter just because she's just now super focused on trying to get down without dropping any more of her stuff.
Yeah, and I think you do eventually get down. It's not that mountain goat style. It is very much kind of city slicker in the country kind of style. But you make it and you're down at the bottom, and then you can do you take your bag from Liz, or what happens once you get to the bottom?
Yeah, she instantly just reaches for the bag, like, give me that, let me see what the real damage is, even though she knows from that distance there's no way this stuff survived. Frey is not the kind of person that puts stuff in nice cases. She's just like, it'll be fine, everything will be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, cool. The door to the cabin is just slightly ajar and just kind of like, it's not locked, it's kind of just blowing in the wind just that little bit. What do you do?
Is that normal? Does that mean someone's here? Does that mean someone's there?
I think I saw someone inside. There was an old lady who owned the place. Let's see.
The planning on this is excellent.
Okay, who's heading in first?
Liz, definitely.
Okay, cool. You push the door open and you've got that the sunbeams, because it's sunny despite being damn cold in the winter, but it's that's kind of open sky cold. So you've got sunbeams coming in and making kind of angel pillars through the dust that you disturb as you open the door, and it really does not look like anyone has been here in a while. It certainly doesn't look like it's been prepared, and the smell kind of hits you at the same time. That kind of very, very musty. There's a little bit of rotting seaweed coming in from the beach itself as well, and it just smells It doesn't smell like a place that people live. Importantly, that guy is also not there where he would have been standing. And there are no footprints to suggest that he should have been there or he's moved either.
As I step in and get the lay of this view in front of me, and I don't see this person that I know I saw, but then didn't see and still don't see, I lean back, look around the door for footprints, like in the sand or rocky sandiness. And then I look back around and then I turn around. Nobody's here. It must have been tired eyes.
I mean, but shouldn't someone... I mean, they left the door unlocked, so maybe they're not supposed to be. This is the weirdest Airbnb experience. Like, usually they like leave the key somewhere locked or something if it's going to be like this.
Yeah, usually.
Also, when was the last time this place was clean? When was the last time you were here?
Oh, let's see. It's like 3 years ago.
She's just gonna like run her finger over like a small like piece of furniture, like credenza or desk or something, and just like, have they cleaned it since then? Does the whole is this our cabin, or is this just like their little main? We'll check in here, and we're gonna take you somewhere way nicer.
No, this is where I stayed, for sure.
Okay, this is great. This is really quaint.
Marlo, what specifically reminds you of your honeymoon as you come in? Other, obviously the whole place is going to, but what is something that just that instant reminder that you see when you come in?
I think there's a old quilt over the little. There's like a small little couch, and there's an old quilt, and I remembered us sitting under that quilt in front of the fire.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's definitely it.
Yeah, it looks like exactly as you remember that. Like as you were. What was your partner's name?
Let's say. James.
Okay, cool. So as you were leaving after the honeymoon, you were going about and tidying stuff up, and you were just in the midst of like folding up this blanket that you've been under for quite a lot of the honeymoon. And James was like, "Look, we got to go. Don't worry about that. Just leave it." And he kind of took it out of your hands and threw it across the couch, and it is exactly where it landed. Like exactly where it landed. Like you've still got the exact same crease pattern in it.
It's got to be coincidence. I don't say that out loud, but I think that in my head. Like that's got to be coincidence. Like there's no way it would still be in the exact same position.
I mean, how could it be? That would be impossible. Almost.
It makes no sense.
No sense at all. Because you've definitely spoken to the. Did you speak to the people when you were booking this, or did you book it entirely via email?
I think when we booked this, I think James booked it.
Okay, so you don't even know how this was booked.
Right.
Okay.
But he had emailed me all the information, and during our last conversation, I mentioned still wanting to go, and he was like, "Okay, I'll give you the info, whatever."
Yeah. He was so great. I can't think why you divorced him. Gigi, what is Frey doing?
I think Frey's just trying to like take a beat to look around and maybe attempt to see what is actually okay about this place, and like what she could potentially like in how kind of decrepit that it is, since it does seem so ill-maintained, like what she could where the beauty is in that, like, just ugliness of it.
Okay.
Like, what parts of it could inspire her, where, like, what of this, like, little very, I think the whole place probably reminds her of, like, her great great grandmother's house, except if it had been left alone for several years.
Okay, cool. So you're going on kind of a little bit of an explore throughout, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You push open one of the doors. They've got these kind of like stable doors with kind of like a little latch on it. You push one open. And there's a little quaint bed in there. Kind of like a single bed with like one of those hand-stitched blankets on it. And you're kind of like cottagecore, I guess. But as you are looking at the blanket, there's something very familiar about the blanket, and you can't immediately put your finger on it. What do you do? You unmute, Gigi.
I swear, I click unmute and it just doesn't do it sometimes. I'm just gonna stare at the blanket for like a few extra seconds, like go like that completely still, like, wait a second, I feel like I've seen this before, and start like tracking back through people she knows that have this similar style, or even her childhood, and then try and like piece, is it the color, is it the pattern, is it the way that it's made, like which thing is that thing that this, I've seen something like this, or I might have seen, like, it was this mass produced or anything like that.
Okay, so you're staring at this and you're trying to make those connections, and none of you mentioned about it being like your great grandmother's kind of house, and it's not that, and it's not something that you've seen at TK Maxx or whatever. And then you get a little bit closer and you start looking at the colors and the patterns, and you're like, fuck, that is my art. And it is several of your pieces which have been cut up and stitched into this quilt. And like,
so Freya's having a moment with this blanket, because part of her is a little bit impressed that they did all of this with her work. But also that means they shredded a bunch of her work to tie it together and take it out of its context and into a context it does not belong. So I think she's trying to find a way to connect the two, or at least at this point she's just like looking at it just like, this is, I suppose that's a thing people can do. How did they even get it though? Like, how did they buy a print and pay someone to put it on fabric? This is ridiculous. And so her whole thought process just spins to how it happened, because it's so uncomfortable to her that it did happen.
And you hear a voice behind you which says reinterpretation, just taking, it's very postmodern. If you take several pieces of art and you just mash them together, and then suddenly you're in just a completely different piece of art entirely. I'm not, darling, I'm not saying that you have plagiarized. God, no, that would be awful. No, it's postmodernism, isn't it?
And you said she hears this voice behind her. I'm just gonna immediately just like whip around, because it definitely doesn't sound like Liz, and she couldn't have fathomed Liz having that sort of depth of knowledge.
And no, there is no one there.
It's freaking weird. Okay. Okay. I think she's going to just like step out of the room and just shut the door and then look at Liz and go, that room's yours.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. There is another room, right? I don't have to sleep on the couch. I mean, I'll sleep on the couch. I think that room is not meant for me.
I mean, yeah. There's another room.
Okay. This, from what you sold me, that's not quite what we're receiving. So, I just wanted to make sure the bedrooms thing wasn't as liberal with the terminology.
I'm agreeing with you. When I was last here, it was clean. It was immaculate. It was rustic, but it was immaculate. I mean, that old woman, I don't know how she got down on her hands and knees and clean stuff, but there was like no dust on under the furniture and stuff. But I will say, if you're looking for a space to get some inspiration, getting this far out of your comfort zone could be really a welcomed change.
Yes, I'm trying to remember that. Did you just hear someone talking a second ago? Like sometimes I get a little lost in my thoughts and I just lose myself, and then I think people are around that aren't around, or I start talking to people that have probably left the room like 20 minutes ago. But I swear I just heard someone talking. It wasn't you.
You did not.
No. Have you seen someone about that? Because that could be something, you might want to... Yeah, your business. Your business.
Okay, is Liz going into the room that has just been gifted to her, I guess is the word?
Yeah.
She was voluntold that room.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, she's got a leather duffel that's kind of digging into her shoulder. It's a little overpacked. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, yeah, I'm going to go set this down on the bed. So she scoots in there.
Okay, you go in there. It is not what was described to Gigi. You go in there and the bed is there still, but the blanket is very plain white, and it smells of kind of like cleaning chemicals and bleach, and it's very tucked in. It's very rough fabric, and you're like, it kind of looks like well, what does that remind you of?
I'm thinking like hospital sheets.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And there is a like crappy hospital vase on the side of the bed, like the bedside cabinet, and there are some wilted roses in it and a get well soon card.
This wasn't here. This wasn't here when I was here. I don't know. Well, it's not creepy. I mean, it's kind of creepy, but I mean, I guess it's not that weird. Hospital chic. And I set my bag down on the bed and feel the sheets to see like how rough is this sleep gonna be.
Yeah. When you feel them, it feels like it feels really nice, like kind of like almost satiny. And then you look down and it should not feel like that. It looks rough. But the feeling of it when you're looking away is entirely different.
Maybe.
There's someone at the door, like you've still got the door open and the light is coming through and it's kind of silhouetting this person at the door, and you kind of assume that it's Frey because it would make sense for her to be there, except in the kind of, if this was the movie version, we cut and we show that Frey is actually moving into the other room just a little bit further down the hall, and you hear the person say, oh honey, are you okay? Sweetie, you missed her. I'm so sorry.
Missed who? What are you talking about? I turn and look at the door.
And you still can't see it because there's all of this light stream through. You've got just a silhouette. Rose, sweetie. My darling, I'm so sorry she passed.
No.
An hour ago.
No.
And there's this beep, beep, beep sound.
No.
And you are no longer in the cabin room. You are now in the hospital room. And you can see that the person you're talking to is a nurse. The nurse that gave you the news that your mother had died.
No. That can't be true. I saw her yesterday. She was fine.
It was literally an hour ago. I mean, she didn't wake. So this sounds horrible, but you didn't miss anything. It's exactly the same. If you'd have been here today, it's exactly the same as it would have been if you'd have been here yesterday. Do you want me to call someone?
There's nobody to call. There's nobody to call. Can use when? What time? What time?
It was 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock when she passed. Nurse is like consulting her notes.
Can I just have a minute, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the door closes, and you are back in the bedroom. And it's just a regular banquet. Gigi, Frey can hear Liz talking apparently to herself further down the hall and heard her side only of all of that. Have you gone into your room yet?
Definitely. I think she would have gone straight for it. Just like, okay, now that we've seen the creepy room, let's go into our room.
Okay, cool. And you open the door and you enter your room, just walk straight in. And you're hit by kind of a sense of vertigo as you enter, because the room that you've just entered could not possibly be as big as the room that you've just walked into. And you're in this largely white concrete post-industrial building where everything has been stripped out and there's lots of beautiful art on the walls. Some of it is yours. And you hear that same voice behind you again. It's just, are you fucking kidding me, Frey?
I think she just freezes hearing the voice. Because even when she does get in her own head and do the same kind of conversations that she's hearing Marlo, it's not usually a voice that isn't her own.
Yeah.
It's usually another voice, and she's just responding to her. She's usually just responding to herself, and she knows if she turns around, it's not going to be there. Does she recognize the voice?
Yeah, now that there's more context around, it's your prior agent.
Oh God. I mean, look at it's so good though. It's good, right? It's good. I mean, look at it.
It's no, don't get me wrong. It's extremely good. And I've been selling people the idea of recontextualization all evening. But do you know what I call recontextualization? When I find out that this is not something that you've painted. It's somebody else's fucking work, Frey. When were you going to tell me?
Do you want the truth, or do you want literally the good answer? Because the good answer is immediately, I swear, and the truth is, well, not until you found out, dear.
But I found out, and people are going to find out. When are you going to actually produce something again by yourself?
I don't know. I can't. I pick up the brushes and the color comes out and it's all wrong, and it just doesn't connect. It doesn't connect with me. It doesn't connect outside of me. And there are so many just torn canvases, and I'm blowing through all of this money just trying to make and to pay this person to just do it for me. And
well, that just breaks my heart. But do you know what 0% of nothing is? 10% of nothing is.
Yes, of course I do.
I would like to hear you say it.
Still nothing.
It's still nothing, and that is exactly what I'm going to earn if we can't sell this, whatever the fuck this is.
You can sell You're making money off of everything. Shit, I know.
He thrusts a glass of champagne into your hands. People are coming in. Smile. Talk to them nicely. Pretend you painted this.
She just downs the champagne instantly and inhales. And her whole affect completely changes. And that plastered on smile comes straight on. Her voice is just, it's so lovely to see all of you here.
Okay, let's have a roll to see if you can keep it together. I think that's going to be a tense roll.
That is a 6.
That is a 6. Well done. Okay, so yeah, you 100% keep it together. However, you then find yourself back in the room and you are literally talking to the wall with, and you don't know how you got this, a glass of champagne in your hand. What is Liz doing?
As the door shuts and the room changes just like suddenly back to the way it was supposed to be, I give this startled like gasp, and then like put my hand up to kind of like stop the sort of like nose drips that are starting to stop from the tears that were coming up. And I just like, no, that didn't happen. No, couldn't have. It isn't possible. It isn't even possible. It isn't even possible. It's not possible.
Frey, you can hear that coming from further down the hall.
And the glass of champagne is still in my hand.
I'm
going to down it before I do anything else. Just immediately. She's like, okay, put on the face. Things are going to be fine. This is what you do. And just set down the glass, and hearing Liz doing that, and she's feeling the exact same thing, that like that was in the past. You're here now. This is going to be okay. And she tries to almost just, what's the phrase? Not disconnect, but disconnect is close enough. Tries to disconnect herself from the memory, because was just so intense and so real. And she, after downing that glass and then looking at the empty one and hearing Liz, she sets down what's left, her other 2 bags, the one with her art supplies and the one with like extra clothes and things, in a very, very ill-conceived swimsuit, because she did not pay attention to the fact that it is winter and absolutely not a good idea. She kind of takes a step back out and into the main room, and she's like, Liz, is there a bar? Do we have drinks here? I think we could use a drink. I think we need to relax. I think today has been really horrible, and I think we're both very stressed out, and maybe we should reset.
You're absolutely right.
And she's just like, she's breathing super heavily, trying to find that baseline within herself.
Yeah, you both look freaked the fuck out, basically, as you're looking up at each other.
I open my mouth to ask if we had a similar experience. But then my brain immediately goes, nope. After having dealt with my mother and all of her emotional stuff, I don't allow myself to be that way. I am put together. No one is going to label me as hysterical. I won't allow it. So I straighten up, get my best director of marketing look on my face, and say, I bet there is. I bet there's some liquor here somewhere. March into the living room, like looking for a liquor cabinet. And
both of you hear because You're further down the hall at the minute, aren't you? In each of your, just outside of each of your bedrooms, and both of you hear at the same time. Yeah, no, I'm sure there's something here somewhere. I'll dig it up, and it is James's voice. Did Frey ever meet James?
No.
At least if she did, it never would have been something that she would recognize him from. She'd never remember his voice. He'd be just another face at an exhibit.
Yeah. Look, there's some pretty good scotch here. Do you drink scotch? I should probably know that.
What are you doing here?
Who the hell is that?
That's James. Trying to find him. Walk in the direction of the voice.
Okay, cool. You walk in, and the place looks beautiful. Again, it looks like it did with those rose-tinted glasses on. And you see him bent over looking for stuff. And he turns around to look at you and says, Jesus, what happened to you? I know I shouldn't be saying this to my wife, but you look awful. You look really... We just left the car. What happened? Who's this? What are you doing here? He says, looking at you, Frey, specifically.
Frey just looks back and forth between them. It's like, well, I'm supposed to be here, and aren't you her ex-husband?
What are you talking about? We just got married.
This didn't happen.
She just looks at Liz like, what the hell?
You're not meant to be here. And he gets this weird look in his eyes. This isn't right. You're not meant to be here. Me and Liz are going to be happy. And you've got to go for that to happen. And he starts stomping towards you, and he's still got that scotch bottle in his hand. What do you do?
She's immediately backing up towards her room as quick as she can, following the wall completely, trying to get somewhere away since she can't run past him the opposite direction.
Okay, let's make a tense roll to get there. Do you want to give yourself any extra dice? Bring in any scars? Push yourself, anything like that?
I think this would very much remind her of a situation at the early in her career where she was still kind of a teenager and was being scouted by people, and how they would corner her in rooms to try and talk her into lowering prices, and just that intense heavy pressure that they're only able to throw on her because she was a child at the time.
Yeah.
So she'd definitely be reliving one of those scenarios, just trying to get away, run from this. This is not safe.
Okay, great. When was there was there a particular person that happened with? Did it happen multiple times? Did it happen with your agent even? Were you kind of pressured into signing with your agent, who you eventually didn't sign with?
It would probably be one of the agents that was scouting her before she chose one.
Okay. Cool. Okay, and you as you are running away to your room, you are literally running away from the gallery at the same time. But then when you attempt to get to the room, it kind of flips back. So let's make that roll. You've got 2 dice there.
Okay, and how does it work again with 2 dice?
It is the best result.
Oh, that's a really depressing moment. Those were both 2s.
Those are both 2s. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't achieve what you set out to do. You take a severe consequence, and you increase your despair track by 1. So your despair track is at 1 currently. So you're going there, and as James reaches out for you, he catches your arm. And what was the name of the agent who pressured you in this way?
And Colin, this is for you. We'll call him Chet.
Chet, okay. So yeah, he grabs your arm, and it is Chet who grabs your arm, and real hard, to the point where you can feel it's going to bruise. And he spins you around, and you're face to face with this Danny DeVito looking motherfucker, Chet. He's like, "What are you doing? We're having fun."
Bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom. I suddenly just like really need to go to the bathroom.
No. Come back in here. We're talking. And he is dragging you back into the gallery. What do you do?
I think she's because she is so young in this that she's doesn't even know how to fight it. She's kind of going a little bit limp in hopes that there won't be a bruise on her arm and not sure of who to even call out to. And looking around, she doesn't see faces she recognizes. She sees all these people that are just here to look at her stuff and can't find anyone she knows. So she's going along, but almost like despondently, like, okay, I guess I have to do this now. And this is horrible.
Okay, cool. He drags you back in, and in the room this is not how you remember it, because you know this is a memory, but at the same time, this is not what was happening. And it is filled with everyone that you wanted to impress. There's old art teachers, there are your parents there. Who else would you have wanted to impress badly?
Any like art friends, obviously. Anyone from like art communities that she knew that she was really trying to just prove that even though I'm young, I'm still an artist. I don't have your formal training, but look at how good I am.
Yeah. Okay, so they are all there, and they're kind of smirking as you're dragged back into the room. And Chet slams you down into a seat, thrusts a paintbrush into your hand, and says, "Paint. It's easy, right?" And the art colony people, particularly, kind of like smirking and whispering to each other. Liz, back in the cabin, what you saw was Freya try and run away from James, and he threw her into the room and slammed the door, and he is back there with the bottle in his hand. Who the fuck was that? What's happening? This feels wrong. Something's wrong here.
James, this is wrong. It's all wrong. I came here and I wanted to see this again. I wanted to feel this again, and you're here somehow. And
of course I'm here. Where the hell else would I be? What is happening?
You didn't want to come with me. You didn't want to go at all. And we were supposed to, it was supposed to be better.
Oh no. Oh, no. This is just like what happened with your mother, isn't it? You're having a psychotic break.
No.
Okay, I need you to sit down, and I'm going to pour you a drink, and I'm going to call the doctor, because this is coming on real quick.
No, it's James, it's not like that time.
It seems exactly like that time. Sit down, you're acting crazy. I need you to think about this. I need you to calm down.
Don't call me crazy.
I said you're acting crazy. I didn't say you were crazy. I said you're acting crazy.
This is exactly why this didn't work.
We just got married. What are you talking about?
No. The last 3 years together has been absolutely horrible.
We only met like 2 years ago. This is why I'm saying that you know what? I'm just gonna, you are crazy right now. You need to sit down.
Oh, is that so? Okay, you are a figment of my imagination, and maybe I'm crazy, but I'm not gonna let you call me crazy again, James. Not again.
I'm gonna go into the other room, I'm gonna have a drink, and then I want you to take some responsibility and call the doctor yourself.
Responsibility?
Yeah,
is that,
because of... And he storms off. Are you following
Oh
him?
no! You don't get to walk away from me when I'm talking to you.
Okay. Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're kind of storming after him as he is storming off. But the corridor is stretching as he does so, and he's going. It's like, you know, those like airport travelators. It's like he's on one of those, but the corridor itself is also kind of on one of those. So you're going to need to make me a tense roll to try and catch up with him. However, if you do catch up with him, I think this is going to add to your hope score.
Okay. Let me see. It's a 1.
It's a 1. Okay, that is not great. Okay, so are you kind of, how are you chasing after him?
I am, as I wheel around and am like pointing and just like about to tear into him, and I start walking towards him and seeing him getting farther away, I just get madder and madder. Come back! No, you come back! You don't get to walk away from me! James, you don't get to walk away from me!
And you are, as you are shouting, come back, you find yourself back in the hospital room, and you are pounding on the heart monitor and saying exactly the same stuff. And you are pounding it so hard that it smashes. And the glass from the heart monitor, which was going beep, 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 and then when you smash it in, it does do the boo, smashes, and you've kind of put your hand right through it, and you pull your hand out, and you are bleeding badly. Oh my God, what? Honey, I know this is hard, says the nurse, but you can't do this. You can't there's nothing that can, this isn't going to bring her back. Frey, what are you doing?
So Frey is sitting there, paintbrush in hand, staring at this blank canvas with what to her feel like thousands of eyes, just waiting for her to fail. And her entire focus is right there for a minute, and she just looks up at this guy, and it's like, how can anyone paint like this? You paint because you're inspired, because you're feeling something, not because they tell you to do it. What do you want? What do you want me to make? What do you expect it to be? I don't.
Okay, and sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
As you are saying that, you can hear from outside. So you hear the people smoking at you, and you hear Shet saying, "Paint, just paint." But then you can hear something else over the top of it, and you can hear Liz saying, "Don't leave me. You don't get to walk away from me. You don't get to leave me." And it kind of snaps you out of where you are for a minute. What do you do?
I just look around for a second to see actually where I am, and then if James is still there, anyone is still there, I look at my arm for the bruise, because I don't see I don't see this chair, I don't see the art supplies, I don't see any people. But hearing Liz is like, wait, is she talking to me?
Are you going to try and pull yourself out of where you are?
Yes.
Okay. I think that is going to be at least a tense roll.
That was a 5.
That's
much
5.
Better.
Okay. So you get a lesser version of what you want or suffer a consequence. So which do you want to take? Do you want to take a lesser version, or do you want to take the consequence?
I'll take a lesser version.
You're going to take a lesser version. Okay, cool. So you pull yourself up, And what do you say as you're pulling yourself up?
That wasn't how that happened at all. That wasn't.
It's happening. It's happening right now, you hear Chet say, but you're kind of pushing yourself up. And all of the crowd start to gather around you, and they're trying to pull you back as like a crowd, all kind of moving as one. But you can hear the voice getting louder and louder of Liz in the other room. And you can hear her, and you know that she's near, and you know that you're not here, and you know that she's just over in the other room from the in the cabin that you're in, and you are able to speak back to her. What do you say?
I think the first thing I do is just yell her name, just Liz.
Okay. It takes like a little while to come out of you, and you can kind of feel it building. You know, like in your chest when you're in a nightmare and you're trying to speak, and you're trying to speak not just in the dream, but you're trying to speak in real life, and you can kind of building and building until it almost comes up like vomit. So you shout at Liz, and then what do you do?
And I'm gonna try and pull away from them. I have to get to her. I have to find her. She's real.
Liz, you can hear this in the other room. What do you do?
I'm staring at my fist, and my vision is kind of going, and I'm like, my head's moving because the blood's making me feel faint. And as before I my head goes back, and before I'm about to fully lose it, I hear my name.
Yeah.
And then No, not again. It's not happening again. It's not happening again. I gotta get to her. I gotta get to Freya. She's here. James is not. You are not. This is not happening again.
What are you talking about? You are here. You've always been here.
No, you're trying to trick me.
Why would I trick you? What do I have to gain?
Because you're not real.
What would I have to gain? Says the nurse, and she smiles this weird fucking non-comforting smile.
I want to look around the room and grab anything I can grab and sling it at her.
There is that, there's the heart monitor.
Yeah. I'm
Just
going to grab it.
With that.
Yeah, just grab it because it's on a rolling base thing, and just like half roll, half throw it at her.
Yeah. I think that's a desperate roll. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for that. Do you want to bring in do you want to push yourself? Pushing yourself adds less anxiety on a desperate roll. Because you're already there. It's kind of like that. If you push yourself on a tense roll, then you're kind of giving into that adrenaline, so it adds more to your anxiety. But if you push yourself on a desperate roll, you're already there.
Yeah, I'm gonna push myself.
Here. Okay, cool. So make the roll with 2 dice, and then afterwards roll a d6 and divide it by 2, and add that to your anxiety.
Okay. I rolled a 4 and a 2.
Got a 4 and a 2. Okay. So you achieve what you set up to do, but I take 2 points of dread. You can also choose whether to take a severe consequence or raise your dread by 1.
I think I'll take the consequence.
You can take the consequence. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Right, so you get up and you smash into this nurse, and her face shatters, and it shatters like plaster. It doesn't shatter like a face; it's like plaster, and like a chunk of it, like dust comes off of it, and a chunk of her face kind of separates and drops away. And you can see her say, "Oh, sweetie, no, you're staying." But then you push past her, and she puts out a hand to grab you as you go past, grab some of your hair. And feel free to X card because this is a specific thing, but she yanks at your hair and like a chunk of it comes out. But you can feel as she does that. Tell me one of Liz's treasured childhood memories.
Her mother, after a very long fight with one of her boyfriends, has been crying all day, but she goes to check on her and she says, "You know what? We're gonna go get ice cream. That's what we need right now." So they go to like the nearest ice cream shop and they're like, there's like light streaming into the windows. They're sitting in a booth right next to each other and they're laughing and giggling and eating ice cream. And though her mom's eyes are red and like swollen from crying, she's laughing. And you can see there's like a little bruise on her arm, on her mom's arm, but the ice cream is in that hand. And it's like the moment of joy and like everything about this moment should be good, but there's little reminders in it of the pain. And but it's still, she's like, this is something I can hold on to when I have so few good memories. You're muted.
You're thinking that as you rush away, and then all of a sudden, you know when you walk into a room and you can't remember what you went in for? Whatever you were thinking is just absent, and you look back at the nurse who is laughing and eating this ice cream sundae with a long tall spoon. And the nurse says, "This is just delicious," but you have absolutely no idea why what she is doing is significant, because that memory is no longer yours. And you push away and you're into the corridor. And you can hear Frey screaming on the other side, screaming your name. Frey, what are you doing?
At this point, I'm trying to push through and away from all these people, trying to just escape this, what now feels like just a horde of grabbing hands and force to find what was once a hallway again and is currently still like a maze of a gallery.
Yeah, okay. And there is this almost like snake-like stream of people behind you, constantly trying to pull you back. You can see there's a door ahead of you, and it is incongruously one of these stable doors from the cabin, just in the middle of the wall of this gallery. Pardon me, what do you do?
Is either part of that door open already?
No.
Okay. I am going to attempt to open either half, like whatever portion I can get open with shaking hands and anything. And if it means jumping over or diving under, she's ready for either.
Okay, cool. I think this is going to be a desperate roll as well. Liz, you're on the other side of the door. You can hear that screaming. So if you want to, you can help by raising your anxiety by 1.
Yeah.
Just to catch everyone up on where we are stat-wise, because I've got the stats in a little Google sheet. We're currently on Hope 2, and Gigi's despair is at 1, and Liz's despair is at 2. I just spent my dread to raise your despair score that a little bit further. Okay, so you've got a couple of dice that you can roll. You can get to a third dice if you want to push yourself, but that is risky.
I think I'll go with the 2 and cross my fingers.
Sorry, I meant to ask as well, what did you get for the dice roll on the previous anxiety roll? Because you needed to roll a dice to see how much anxiety you added.
For me?
It was who... Yes, sorry. Yeah, that was you, yeah.
So I rolled a die and I got a 6 on the anxiety roll.
Okay, cool. So that raises it by 3, so you were on 4. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Stats done. Gigi, what did you get?
I'm really glad I got 2 die. I got a 5 and a 1.
You got a 5 and a 1. Oh my gosh.
So a 5.
Okay. So that's you achieve what you set out to do, but the GM takes 2 points of dread. The player also chooses to get a severe consequence or raise your despair by 1. So that puts your hope at 3. So that's actually going up pretty quickly, which is good.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's just too depressing here.
I'll take that extra point of despair.
You can take the point of despair. Okay, that puts you both on 2. It's nicely balanced. Okay, so you get to the door and you manage to throw open the top part of it, and you can see Liz on the other side. And you can Liz is there, and the cabin is there. Liz, from your side, you can see the gallery on the other side of this room. You can see all the people as well. And you are able to reach through and try and pull Frey through if you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna freeze when I see them and then pull myself out of that sort of like, oh my god, like, what in the hell am I seeing? And then grab her as hard as I can by the forearm and pull.
Okay, because you helped and we got a mitigating success, you also have to choose between a severe consequence and raising your dread. What do you do?
Where are we at with dread again?
You are both on 2.
2. I guess I'll take the dread.
You're going to take dread. Okay, cool. Dread, for if it helps, is calculated individually, so it doesn't matter if you get to 5 altogether. That only matters with hope. With dread, you each have your own score, so nothing bad. I say nothing bad happens. This has been nothing but bad things. But you don't die until you get to you don't die until you get to 5 individually. Okay, cool. So you pull Frey through, and as you are pulling her through, one of the people in the crowd you see is Rose, is your mother, and she's all just pulling through, and you see them kind of like gnashing their teeth as if they're like biting at the air. But you pull her through, and does one of you slam the top door? You slam the top door, and the noise just stops, and you're in the cabin again. What are you doing?
I imagine that we've kind of landed in this sort of like almost embrace position.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the moment of solitude, of just like suddenly all that noise is gone, all of that everything that was happening is just, we're back where we thought we were supposed to be. I instead of moving away, I grip Frey tighter and I say, are we losing it?
I mean, we both saw your husband, and you saw him come at me, right? If we're losing it, we're losing it together. How is that?
And you hear a kindly voice saying, what do you think you'd be losing? The deposit? Everything looks absolutely fine. And I don't know, what do you do?
I think Freya's too scared to move at this point. She's just like perfectly still. Like, I don't know who this voice is and what is it about to do to us next.
I try to turn my head as slowly as possible toward.
Okay, you do that, and you see an older, almost matronly figure, and for a moment you're like, not mum, not mum, not mum, and you turn and it's not. It's the old lady that rents this place.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I should have been here when you got here. But it looks fine. You two don't though. Can I get you something? Do you want to come sit down?
When she says it looks fine, I want to look around and see if it looks like when we came in.
Yeah, it does.
So it
still looks as dusty and unkept.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I really should have tidied this place up. I meant to. Why didn't I? Anyway, cup of tea, peppermint. Peppermint is very good if you're not feeling very well. I'm not feeling well. I'm gonna get some peppermint.
Please, yeah.
Freya's just standing there, just like nodding. Just so overwhelmed by this suddenly like calm maternal figure, and that maybe they were just having some weird shared hallucination thing, or maybe there's mold in this place or something that's causing strange issues. But yeah, sit, yes, we should sit. And as she like takes a step from Marlo, her hand does not leave does not leave Liz completely. She's just like holding on to her for dear life, as though she's the only thing here that's rooted in reality.
The old lady's gone over and she's got some peppermint out of the cupboard. And it appears to be like actual dried peppermint leaves, which she has a little tea strainer and she's got a little teapot. She's got one of those, there's like an old-fashioned kettle on the stove, which starts whistling as it's boiling up. She's like, oh, I remember this place, it takes your memory sometimes, but I know what it is. I died. And she laughs, kind of like to silly me. And she brings the 2 cups of tea over and she says, I was going to tidy this place and then I died.
What?
What? But you're right here?
I know. I mean, this isn't what I was expecting either. And I was wondering if you could help me with something. What's my name? I don't remember my name. I don't remember anything apart from that I died. Why don't you tell me my name? Tell me my name. And then you hear Jane's voice say,
I don't know.
Tell her, I sent you all the information. Can't you remember anything? Can you remember her name? Can't you remember? I sent it to you last week. This is why things never worked out between us. And you hear your artist, your agent, say, just make something up. Isn't that what you do? Just tell her. What are you doing?
I don't remember the name of someone I met 3 years ago, and I don't start like patting my pants, like looking for a phone or something I could access my email from.
That's okay, sweetie. I'll just take one of yours. And the old lady reaches forward towards what you do.
I am going to just like smack her hand. Just
Nice.
like reach out, like, no, do not touch either one of us.
Okay, I think that is going to be a tense roll. Liz, are you helping, or do you want to bring in a scar, anything like that?
I'm trying to think what kind of scar I would bring in here.
Same.
You don't have to. It's just I like to remind people the options open.
So she's moved the teapot and set it down on the table, right?
Yeah.
No, I can't think of anything. I think I'm frozen at this point.
Yeah. I just like to remind people that scar's going to happen because in the sort of the heat of the moment, it's easy to miss that a little bit. Cool. Gigi, so you are smacking the hand away, yeah? Or who said they were smacking the hand away? But it was Gigi, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm
Cool.
slapping the hand away.
Let's have a tense roll for that, I think.
That's a 2. This dice is now in dice jail.
Okay, so that's a 2. So you don't achieve what you set out to do. You suffer severe consequence and increase your dread by 1. Do you want to take the consequence or increase the dread?
I'll take the consequence.
You didn't take the consequence. Okay, cool.
I'm feeling I'm about to lose my name.
She reaches forward, and you try and slap her away. And instead of slapping her away, she just grabs you by the wrist. And she goes, there we are. Can you remind me what your character's real name is? Because it's not phrased. There we are. I'm Francine. I can remember I'm Francine. Gigi, your character no longer has a name.
Yeah. Francine.
Does she realize this?
Yes. And yes, you do remember that she is called Francine now as well, yeah.
Yeah. That's right. That makes sense. Francine.
Seems like a proper older lady name. That makes sense.
Do you want to try and push on against getting this old woman away from you, or are you going to try something else? Because you can, if you wish, continue with a desperate roll. Because you can kind of feel that she's taken something from you, even if you can't quite remember what that is. You feel that she's stolen something from you, and she's kind of chewing.
I think I'm just going to try and pull my hand and arm away. Like, it's at this point, it's more just I don't want any of these things touching me.
Okay.
Like, whatever they are, I don't want them touching me anymore.
Cool. Okay. I think that's another tense roll then to get away. This will add to hope if you can get there.
That's a 4.
That's a 4. So it does add to hope. So we're on 4 hope. But I take a point of dread, and which means I now have 4 points of dread, and I am going to raise despair to 3. So we are on equal amounts of despair for the both of you now. You pull back, and the old lady's arm just kind of comes with you, like her hand just kind of comes with you, and it kind of almost tears away. And it tears like there's no blood. It's like stitches, like an old quilt. And it literally goes and tears away. And she says, oh. And her voice is James's voice. And when she says, oh, and then she says, I'm going to have to take that back. And as she says, take that back, her voice cycles, and it is the nurse's voice, and it is Rose's voice, and it is James's voice, and it is the agent's voice, and it's Chet's voice. And it's kind of all of them speaking at once, cycling through, and each of them taking different precedences in the voice. And she starts walking towards you. And she starts crawling on the floor as she's walking towards you with this stump arm and her other arm and her leg coming over. And then suddenly she has more limbs than she should. And there are parts of James and parts of Chet and parts of the nurse. And she looks up to you, Liz, and her face is half Francine's now face and half Rose's face. And it's kind of twisted, and none of the features go together well, and they're shifting around as they do.
No. And I grab a side table or anything that I can and try to throw it down on top of her.
Okay, cool. That is going to be a desperate roll, I would say.
Would I be able to help by also grabbing the teapot? Because I was going the same way, except dump hot liquid,
yes,
throw the teapot at her and have the whole thing.
Yeah, so you can roll a couple of dice for that. If you add to your anxiety with 1, I think that is, so that puts you up to 3. It's remarkable that your characters have managed to keep their anxiety this low.
I think we as players are panicking more than our characters are. Oh, no, not that face. That face is not okay.
2 is the highest of both dice.
Both dice were 2s.
Okay. You reach for the table, and you try and smash it down, and all of these arms shoot up at once and just grab it, and then the table just kind of, it turns into dust. It kind of like, if you see footage of something rotting in time delay, time-lapse photography, and it just kind of rots in their hands. And you pick up the kettle, and one of the arms grabs you and starts pulling you towards the many mouths that are now appearing all over this thing. Both of your despair is going to raise to 4. We're on 4 all around. And all of these mouths are telling you everything that you're afraid of. They're getting extremely on the nose. James's voice is saying to Liz, this is where you're going to end up alone, just like your mother. You're going to live alone, you're going to die alone, and there's going to be no one here for you. And Gigi, you can hear the voices saying all at once, all together, you won't be remembered. There'll be nothing left of you to remember. Now come here. We're going to eat you. What are you doing?
Look at Freya. Well, nameless individual now.
Hey, she's Frey. She just lost Francine.
Yeah.
Frey still
That's
exists.
great.
She lost her real name.
Look at Frey. And
I'm not sure if that's better or worse.
and say, I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I'm not.
Not one note. You can do it again. I just need a break. I need to think. And I think Freya's gonna be trying to pull back, but not just her arm, but like her whole body, because she still is grabbing on to Liz and just like, no, we need to run. We need to run. There is no safe space here at all. Like, and it's the like looking at the door and looking at her and looking at the door and then looking back at this monster and just, can we make it?
Let's go.
And I'm assuming both of you together are running for the door?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. That sounds like it's going to be one last desperate roll. And who's going to make the roll?
Who's rolling better? That's the question.
Is it just one die or are we rolling 2?
Well, here's the thing. If one of you bolts for it and just one of you makes the roll, then it's 1 die. If both of you bolt for it and you're helping each other, which it kind of sounds like you're doing in the fiction, then that's 2 dice. But the consequences would be on both of you, and both of your despair is at 4.
I say 2 dice, we each roll 1.
I think that works.
Yeah.
I think at this point, they're like, we are the only thing that we know. Each other are the only thing we know is real.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And either we get out together or we don't get out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Hopefully one of us gets a 6.
Let's make that roll.
Oh, come on. Wait, this is the one that gave me a 6 earlier. I'm going to roll this one.
Okay. I'm grabbing my... Did you do it? Because I got a 2.
Yay!
Orange boy! Orange boy!
Orange boy gets framed. We love Orange boy.
Okay, so you take each other's hands and you just fucking bolt for it. and you can feel as you bolt past, this thing doesn't move, but all of its arms stretch and grab at you, and there are so many arms grabbing at your limbs and trying to pull you back, and you can hear all the voices and telling you all of the worst things about you, all of the worst things that have happened to you, all of the worst things that you believe about yourself. But as you're pulling away, one limb goes, and you say that we're not alone, we have each other. And they just become a blur of voices, and it ceases to mean anything, and it's just noise. And you pull yourself away from them. Which of you makes it to the door first? I think it kind of makes sense for it to be Liz because you rolled the 6.
Yeah.
Okay, and you grab hold of the door and pull yourself out and reach back, and you pull Frey through. Mm-hmm. And the door of the cabin slams shut behind you. And you find yourself on a beach. And you have no idea what you're doing there. But you feel some warmth. And you feel some hope. And there, I think, we will end it. And we will just go on and do a little epilogue. Where do we find you both a couple of months down the line? And how have you been changed by your experiences here? Even if you don't technically remember them.
I think I see Liz is in a taxi or a Uber or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you see on her phone, she's got a dating app open. And she's swiping right, she's swiping left, and she stops on pictures and she regards them for a minute. And she'll swipe right or she'll swipe left. And then she looks up at the Uber driver and says, "How far are we?"
How far are you?
I don't think very far.
Okay.
And I think
we'll be there in a minute.
Yeah. And as we get to the destination and get out, there's this very, very modern, very hip, on-trend building. And it's just open glass windows. Now, I'm going to take a few liberties, so stop me if this doesn't jive for you. And there's a big, over the door, a big like banner. It says, "Art Show." And she steps out and looks at it, and then looks inside and sees like artwork all over the walls.
And Gigi, what is the artwork of, and how's it going?
I think, and again, let me know if I'm taking too many liberties here. I think when Liz walks in,
Frey's whole face just lights up, and she goes, "And there she is, my muse." And all the paintings on the walls are these like deconstructed looks at like the pain of separation and of misery and regrowth and rebirth, and all of this imagery that kind of follows Liz's just sheer fall into the depths of divorce and everything, and then coming out a bigger and better and stronger, more alive person. And she just greets her with that same glass of champagne in a ridiculously fancy flute, because you can't be in a gallery without a glass of champagne, and takes her around to meet first her agent, who is so proud that after whatever it was that he thinks Liz did, that Frey is actually doing work again, and it's not at all like her old work. It's so much better. It's more adult. It's really like she's found her own voice rather than just trying to recreate her voice from when she was younger.
And we see Liz take the champagne flute and we see the scars still on her hand from when it went through the heart monitor, but they're healed now. And she takes the flute and drink it, and then we just get a little bloop on your phone, Liz. Do you answer it?
Yeah.
Okay, you just quickly check it,
Mhm.
and it is from the agency that you booked the place from previously, which you don't remember, and it's Treasured Memories Holidays, and you just kind of think, because you don't remember it, that's spam, delete it, and then we will pull out Crane Shot and fade to black. Hey,
We made it.
you did just made it.
That was the ultimate last ditch.
I know.
Ah!
Orange boy. I'm putting him on the shelf now.
Holy shit.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. That was so brilliant. First of all,
thank
for
you.
making such a brilliant game, but also, wow.
Thank you.
Damn, Ollie. Damn. I said goddamn.
Thank you.
Oh my
I think that's
god. Take an internet
probably-
bow.
I think
Also known as
that
a nod.
is, yeah, probably one of the best games of Quietus that I've been involved in. So thank you very, very much for playing in that. That was awesome.
Wow. Folks, can we get all the love for Ollie in chat, please? I genuflect before you, my friend. That was absolutely fantastic. That was incredible.
Thank you.
Great work. Great
Thank
fucking
you.
work. Whew. Okay, so Disembodied Voice in the Sky is going to ask now that we do just a little debrief, just check in with everyone, see how we're all doing. Obviously, there were some tears, happy tears, scared tears throughout that. And I actually do want to start because I feel like this is an underappreciated part of the debrief process. I actually want to start with the GM himself, with Ollie. How are you doing? How are you feeling right now?
I'm okay. I got a little emotional at the end there. No, that was good. I think we, for me at least, pushed up to the sort of the boundaries of what I'm comfortable with, which I think is a good place for horror to sit. But no, I'm good. I'm emotional, and I'm very, very glad that those two made it out. I don't think I would have liked it if they hadn't. Honestly, I think I would have been quite upset. But yeah, I came to love those characters a lot, and I'm glad they made it.
Might I just say, Ollie, one brilliant mechanic, and for those watching at home, one brilliant mechanic in the game is the fact that you can add despair to people's pools by spending dread, which allows you to keep things balanced.
It does. It keeps it balanced, exactly, and that's why I find the best sessions of this game are where you do get to that final last roll, and
Yes.
dread is your tool to do that. Is that you can always keep it balanced, so it doesn't feel too much one way or the other.
Yes, the best games of Quietus, and so far every game I've played of Quietus has come out this way, is that when you're sitting on 4 hope, 4 despair, and it's all down to that one roll. It's all down to that, and you leave it, and the tension is palpable, and it makes the ending, no matter what the ending is, it does make it satisfying. But like I said in chat, and I said in Green Room, and I said in public chat that I didn't know whether I was rooting for you guys to live or die, because I can never really tell with these games. Both of those endings can be satisfying, but I'm really, really fucking happy that you survived that in the end. I was pulling for you.
And thank you so much to both of my players for doing that in such a thematic way as well. It wasn't just the running; it was the running together and the feeling that you're not going to be alone. That was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, Marlo, that took me back to when you did 10 Candles. Except in 10 Candles, you died at the end. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it. But Marlo had this beautiful scene at the end of 10 Candles that came down to her and one other character being the only ones left alive. And in 10 Candles, I should say, in that game, it's built in that everyone will die. TPK is the only way that game ends.
Yeah.
And it came down to Marlo and one other character, and they just had this really beautiful moment of just 2 women at the end just sharing a moment of love together. And I think the last thing you said was like, "You're really pretty." and then you both got fucking murdered at the end. And but it was beautiful. It worked so well, and I adored that moment. And I love the way that this game, one great thing about it, despite being so bleak and depressing, is that it has those moments of it brings people together when you play a 2-player version of it, they come together to overcome the big bad evil, whatever it is, or they fall. And you know, when I ran it, Cadence and Anna were playing sisters, and they one betrayed the other one and left her to die, and left her alone, abandoned her, and then got far away, realized she made a mistake, and went back for her and saved her. And the emotional pendulum was powerful, and they got out together. I'm a dick though, and I made an ending in that game that implied that their struggle was not over, that the thing that came after them is coming back to get them again. But because I love that last minute reversal shit. But I like subverting expectations. But
that's some proper horror movie ending.
Oh yeah,
it's coming back.
Yeah, they were being tormented by a doctor named Dr. Black, and at the end they got a call from someone named Dr. Brown, and that was where it ended.
I spent plenty of this session being a dick. I thought I was quite happy to end it on a happy note.
Ollie, I say this from one to another. You're a really great asshole. You're.
It's so good.
It's hard to play an effective asshole because it gets. Well, you feel like an asshole when you're doing it. It's hard to not pull the punches and to know where the line is and to hopscotch around it, you know. And you did a great job. Your characters were oof. I mean, I wanted to fucking kill all of them, but they were. But that's the highest compliment you can give a GM. So, great job.
I mean, the second James said you're crazy, I was like, oh no, I will end this dude. I
will
friggin'
motherfucker.
end this dude.
I hated him.
I loved though with that interaction how you could feel the like there were the previous arguments there. There was obviously previous arguments there, and it's like her just being like, "You're not gonna walk away from me. You're not gonna leave me." Like, just showing her she was gonna make sure that worked, and in the end it didn't. And she was like, it was like her ultimate like thing. It was amazing. Thank you for being a jerk.
Huge winner, Ollie. The scene transition though, when you caught you saw the moment and you pounced when you caught Marlo in the middle of saying, "You're not gonna leave me. You're not gonna leave me," and then you cut to when her mother died. Right there. That was cinematic gold. I loved that moment. Brilliant.
It seemed too good of a feed line to not do that.
Absolute feed line. Totally. Yes. You saw the opportunity and you lunged, and it was great. That was killer. And the other character I wanted to murder, and less of an asshole than James, but I'm slipping on the name now, but like the art curator.
I don't think he had a name.
Did we not give him a name? Maybe that's why I'm slipping on.
No, we never got a name for the agent.
But the fact that you took it was good, but man, I want to fucking murder him.
Do you know what? He had a name, but the memory beast got to you previously.
You
go. And already stolen it.
When he said, what's 10% of nothing? No. I want to hear you say it. What's 10% of nothing? Ooh, that little bit, just that little oomph of that stupid controlling bullshit of like this kind of bow before me attitude. You know, oh God, fuck that guy. So good.
It's something like you'd say to a kid.
Yes, exactly. It's infantilizing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was channeling bad teachers at that.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. Totally.
It was absolutely perfect too. I will say I spent probably the last 30% of this game hyperventilating personally, which made it so much easier to channel into the character because I was so involved in what was happening, and even the stuff I couldn't see. It was just so beautifully crafted, and you gave us just enough for us to really create our world while making sure we were still in these like very wavy guidelines. It was just so masterfully done. Like, and it pulled every emotional string and every moment of insecurity and fear, even personally, with that kind of stuff, just because all of those situations are just so real, even on a much lower level, that it just made all the horror so much more intense. And then these moments of like, okay, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I don't know, cry? Is the thing going through my head? Like what? I don't know.
Yeah. So Gigi, how are you feeling right now? Where's your head at? It ended on a much more hopeful note, thankfully. But how are you feeling?
Overall, great. I mean, I spent, like I said, I spent a bunch of the session hyperventilating, but I think it was in a good way. It wasn't because I was so anxious that I wasn't enjoying it. It was because I was enjoying it so much. It was making me anxious. Like it all started to feel very real. I loved this. This game was so fun. And Marlo, you were so great to play with and bounce off of. And I'm so glad you went the direction you did in the ending. So it was the first thing that popped into my head too.
Yeah.
So it was just like, oh, this is great that somehow, even though they don't remember this at all, they formed this like crazy bond.
I love that. I had a I'm not crying, you're crying moment when Marlo, great choice there though, of like pulling up to the art exhibit at the end, and I was like, oh, I know what you're doing. Oh my god, that's and then Gigi to have and it's all, it's like it's paintings of it's paintings of Liz, and it's paintings of your experience and the deconstruction of loss and grief and artistic beauty, life reflecting art. Great, and form matching function. Incredibly good job there. Marlo, what's going on with you?
I'm here for it. So many of the horror games end so sad and so awful, and it was nice and refreshing to get one that we came out of it whole, in a way that like, and even more whole than we started it. So it was a transfer. It was a transformation for both characters through something that they were struggling with. And I think, for Liz, her journey's not done. She's still looking at dating apps. So she's, maybe she'll get another shitty relationship. We'll see. But she's got a bond with someone else now. And I think that is something that matters for her. And it's something that'll help her become the person that she needs to be. So I think it's amazing. It's awesome. The horror elements and the stealing of memories and the ice cream and the, oh my gosh, like it was just so like we all came together with the storytelling and Oli, of course you nailed it. You knocked it out of the park. But these sort of collaborative games are my favorite type of games. So I love it. I love the system. I'm gonna use it. It was so good, and I'm here for it. So good.
I liked it to pull onto horror movie tropes. It's like we were both the survivor girl.
Yeah, the final girl.
Yes.
We were both the final girl. We were the one that found that little piece of you that will do whatever awful thing you have to do to survive and will become a better and stronger person for it. And it was so great. And I do want to also shout out Colin real quick for that call of horror Grace and Frankie.
Yeah.
Because that could not have been more accurate. I saw that and I was just like, oh my god, we accidentally did.
You're even at a fucking beach house. Like it's exactly horror Grace and Frankie. You did like, I mean, the only part that's not exactly on is that only one of you is out of a marriage, but other than that, it's pretty damn close.
It was just marvelous though, the way it went out and the way that the characters really found growth and in their own personal hells.
Yeah.
The way it really did feel like their own personal hells. Like that was, and again, that's 80% Ollie's creation and 20% us playing through it and reacting. I mean, you built these scenarios that just made this perfect sense. Mm-hmm. With just like Thank you. Smallest bits of phrases and things where it's like, oh yeah, okay, I've definitely had this experience. How did it play out? How did it go? And I really like in this game, and even in reading it, I felt like this would be how it was, but obviously in reading rule sets and reading how the game is supposed to be played and then how the game is really played is always a little bit different, that it felt like we had a lot more creative control, and it very much plays out that way in the game. And I really love that because it lets us kind of explore some of the hardest depths to explore in just a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's so much of the genre, right? I mean, I love you picked a great genre here, Oli, but these kind of these films where it's like the environment is a manifestation of the characters' minds. They're manifestations of their own depressions and anxieties and troubles that are coming to life around them. Things like you said, like the Babadook or things like that, and that is it reminds me honestly of old similar thing that's in old Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, in old like Fall of the House of Usher type of settings, where it's that gothic horror, where it's the romantic horror of sort of that manifestation, your mind coming to life around you and attacking you. And you did that fucking spot on, both in the game, but especially in the way you ran it today. I mean, I haven't seen the other games that you've run, Oli, but I'm gonna go ahead and just believe you when you say that this really was the best one you've done, because it was chef's kiss.
It felt very Hereditary. It felt very like Ari Aster feel, where it's that like, because even like looking at movies like Hereditary and Midsummer, they're not scary, not traditionally scary. They're atmospheric and intense and unsettling to your core. And that was really where all of this fell for me. And I just love that so much. It makes me so happy to play.
Hereditary is one of my favorite films. So yeah, that was one of the major inspirations in the game.
Damn.
And the character creation in this is set up so that the GM, it seems like they're doing a lot of work, but they're not really, because you fed them all of the stuff that you're interested in seeing in the game beforehand, and so that's what helps to make it flow. It's
like the cold reading version of GMing.
Exactly.
It is. It's a Darren Brown trick. It's it makes it look like I had the same thing said to me when I GM'd the game too. It makes it look like you've done a lot of work in the back end. But yeah, they told you what they wanted. They told you how they want to be scared, and you just listen. But I mean, hey, that's a hard skill for some GMs to get. You have to listen.
Well, it's written like that because I'm a lazy GM and I don't like doing prep. So I just wrote myself a game where I didn't have to, and I just let the players talk to me, and I go, okay.
Yeah, whatever you want. Totally. Got you covered. All right, y'all. Well, on that hopeful note, let's go around before we end here and just do some quick outros. Tell people in the audience where you can be seen, where your work can be found, where they can get more of you, because anyone who just spent the last 2 and a bit hours watching this, coming on 3 hours, should want to see a hell of a lot more of you. So let me begin bottom left with my good friend Marlo.
I'm Marlo. You can find me on Twitter at Marlo Bogwitch. That's Bogwitch with 2 G's. I am not on Twitter a whole lot, but I do try to retweet and post anything that I'm in. Right now, I'm doing one other stream every other week, and then I've also got my podcast, Sins of the Father, that I edit and play in as it's kids. It's a 5e game with kids looking for their missing parents. Our stats suck, so it gets hairy sometimes. But I'm playing a bard there named Yuvalia, who is just a bright sunshine girl. So check me out. Those are the places you can find me, and I had so much fun. Thank you. Thank you, Colin, and thank you, Oli. You guys are amazing. And obviously, thank you, Gigi, for being my wonderful co-partner in this.
And speaking of Gigi, where you at?
Hey, so you can find me on Twitter at Gianna Noir. Much like Marlo, I am bad at Twitter and don't post a lot. But I retweet as much as I can. As far as other streamed things go, you can catch me in a little less than a month on a Weave the Tale game called Black Void. I will be doing a guest spot there for one amazing episode. Otherwise, I'm not doing any other streamed campaigns, so ask your girl. Like, let me know. Invite me. I'm there. And yes, thank you, all 3 of you. This has been the greatest experience and has only reinforced some of my favorite parts about TTRPGs. And that's just like the people you meet and the people you get to play with, and how doing it alone is like something you can do. And some games are built for it. And this is one of them where you really can do it just one-on-one. But it's so much better when you've got multiple people and you have extra ideas and extra fun. So thank you. And Colin for hosting the whole thing.
Yeah, Gigi, if I have my way, you'll be on this channel again, and it's my channel, so I hopefully will have my way.
I don't know. You have a whole bunch of moderators that might get their way instead.
You're gonna be back. Don't worry. I'll talk about what's coming up in a minute, but there'll be more Gigi. I can't not have more Gigi. That was too damn good. All right, and finally, the man of the hour himself, Oli Jeffery.
You can find me at Ojeffrey, which is OJEFFERY. Having to remember how to spell my own name there. On Twitter. Unlike Gigi and Marlo, I post on Twitter way too often. So that's where I live. Also go to Sinister Beard drive-thru.com, which is where you can find some of my games. You can also find me on Drive-Thru and Itch. And I have a new game which is in development at the minute, which is not being written by me, but is being produced by me, which is Extreme Meat Punks Forever, which is going to be coming to Kickstarter in June. And there is a quick start for that you can get on Drive-Thru for free right now. So on Drive-Thru RPG, just search up Extreme Meat Punks Forever. The tagline of that is "Be gay, pilot mechs, kill Nazis." So if that sounds appealing to you, then please go give it a download and join us when we kickstart. It's being written by Heather Flowers and Aura Bell, who are both wonderful, and the game's really fucking cool. And I can say that because I haven't written it this time, so it's not narcissistic. Check that out and find me on Twitter.
Yeah, and we're gonna. Oli directed me to that quick start. We are 100% going to play this game on this channel. We will definitely do some Extreme Meat Punks. I've read through the quick start. It's so fucking cool. When he says mechs, I just want to make sure that people know that these are meat mechs. These are mechs made of meat that you pilot and beat the fuck out of fascists. What the hell else do you want? Are you not entertained, people? It's brilliant. I'm so here for it. We're gonna play it. I'm loving it. Okay, so a couple quick things. This is One Shot Sunday that you've just watched. We do a different game every weekend, Sunday. Normally at 7. We did this one early because Ollie's in the UK and I didn't want to have him up all night. Normally 7 p.m. every Sunday right here on this channel. We will do a different game, different system, different players. We have a few recurring faces, but we always try to get new people in. The whole purpose of the reason I made this channel was to give new people a chance to stream. So we're always getting new faces in. Coming up, we're scheduled out to April right now with the one-shots we have scheduled. But let's see, today was Quietus. Next week is going to be Quest. Love that game. Great game. Very simple, rules light, beautiful, high fantasy RPG. That's going to be awesome. Week after that, March 7th, is going to be Blades in the Dark. The week after that is going to be Dungeons and Dragons, but 5th edition tired, 4th edition wired, homie. We're bringing I know you give me that look, but look, 4th edition was what got me into D&D when I was like 14 years old. So that is my home. I loved 4th edition. I think it gets a really bad rap unfairly, and I am going to run it to show everybody that it actually is a great game. It gets way too much shit. It's a really, really great game. The week after that, March 21st, we are playing Pasión de las Pasiones, a PBTA telenovela RPG. Proof positive that there is an RPG for everyone. The week after that is going to be Kids on Bikes. The week after that is going to be The Happiest Apocalypse on Earth, which is one of my favorite PBTAs. It's a horror PBTA set in a horror version of Disney World called Mouse Park. And it's creepy and silly and fucking awesome. And then the week after that, April 11th, we're playing Extreme Meat Punks, folks. So it's all coming up. It's all happening. I'm going to take a week off, and then on the 25th, we are playing Dialect. That is going to be GM'd by Megan Cross, who was our guest on our talk show just the other night. Speaking of our talk show, every other Friday, 7 o'clock on this channel. These are all times Eastern Standard, by the way. 7 o'clock every other Friday, we do the GM Postmortem, where we sit down with GMs and games developers and talk about how to run a better game. Our last guest was Megan Cross. We had a kick-ass conversation with Megan just the other night. And our next guest is going to be Christopher Gray, game developer who wrote, among other things, The Happiest Apocalypse on Earth. Also wrote The Great American Witch, which is currently being run by our own Lydia Half-Arse Termit over on Weave the Tale. Speaking of Weave the Tale, God, I'm good at these transitions. Speaking of Weave the Tale, I GM a game over there every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. It's a game of Black Void called Into the Oblivious Depths. I have a cast of people I'm ridiculously proud agreed to work with me. I don't know why they did. And they're some of the best damn role players I've ever worked with. It's awesome. And Gigi down here is going to be on that next month on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. Check out Gigi will be appearing in a guest spot on Black Void Into the Oblivious Depths. Okay. One other thing. The only other ongoing series we have going on this channel right now is Estate. which is our Cyber Victoriana Hellscape Future game. That's every Monday at 7. You'll notice I like to do things at 7. Just keep that shit standardized. That features a fantastic cast. It is run by our own Bulb, who lives in Scotland, but unlike Oli, doesn't sleep. So he runs it till like 4 o'clock in the morning his time, because he is a delightful madman. That has myself on it, along with Bulb, Anna, Nymeria941, our boy Wally132, and our good friend Savvy Seaworth. And speaking of Savvy Seaworth, I'm on fucking fire. Speaking on Savvy Seaworth, we are going to raid over to her. She is currently over on her channel, Game Nights. I don't know what they're playing, but Savvy's awesome, and we're going to say hi to her. So do please stick around. I'm going to cut to a real quick end screen, but then we are going to go over and raid Game Nights. So, with that in mind, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once more to Oli. Thank you once more to Gigi and to Marlo for agreeing to come on and play. This was a truly transformative RPG experience. Thank you again to Oli, not only for... I have to thank you 3 times over. 1, you wrote a fucking great game. 2, you ran a fucking great game. 3, you wrote some dope-ass music that's been playing this entire time. I love it. I'm going to listen to this a lot. Oli, where can people find your music? I want to make sure that they can get a hold of that.
Yeah, sure. That is on Bandcamp under Plague of Insomnia. There is an EP and an album there currently of post-dungeon synth, which is the most pretentious genre I could be in. So that's why I thought I would go for it.
Post-dungeon synth. God, I love it.
It's also a really niche genre, which means that I can succeed without trying super hard.
Oli, you're my kind of guy. All right. All right, fam. Thank you all so much for watching. Stick around so we can go over and say hi to Savvy over at Game Nights. But in the meantime, thank you all for coming, and it's time to revive the old tagline. Do not forget, and until next time, crying is a free action. Good night, everybody.